I am here.
Hello.
Hello. Greetings. Tonight, we will start with questions. And from the questions, I will have things to explain regarding the subjects in which we cover.
I was wondering, when I get in touch with my higher self, I know I get information there, and then sometimes someone who called himself the Atman, some lady told me was the spirit, and so I'm kind of not sure about those designations, if they're different or one and the same. Can you tell me if there's a difference between those two?
Yes, you're getting in touch with a spirit guide. This is Ascended Master. However, your higher self, this is different. Your higher self is you. Is you at its highest potential. All your lives that you've ever lived and ever will live. Your own collective. And as you tap into your own collective, you tap into the collective. This is your limitlessness, your infinity.
I wonder, I've been told that it would be good for me to expand, and I think he meant to expand, like you know how that exercise where you visualize yourself growing bigger than the earth, and that the kind of visualization. I was wondering if that's what he was referring to, that I consider myself into enclosed of a being. Is that what we think he might be hinting at?
What is happening here is you are becoming aware of your universe. This is what this exercise does. As you feel your energy and you feel it expand beyond just your physical body, and not just know, but to feel and experience this oneness, this expansion. To not just know intellectually, but to feel it and experience it. That you are not just your physical body, not just your physical mind, not just your thoughts, not your personality. It is the I am. As it is said, I am that I am. You are everything that you are aware of. You are this chair you are sitting in. You are the ground. You are this building. You are everything around this earth. You are the earth. You are the planets, the solar system. And to feel that, to know that it is all the same energy, and you are a part of this energy. The universe, the multiverse, the various dimensions, and all of existence. You are all of this, and this is all the same energy. And you are a part of this energy.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just one more.
Of course.
I was wondering what the best approach is to help somebody out who, there's a lot of people, a couple of friends I know, they don't necessarily meditate and pray a lot, and so they're not taking the higher energy that's coming in right now, and I assume they're having a hard time, and so I'm just wondering what you could recommend that you tell people like that without making them feel more scared than they already are,
This is often difficult to accept. However, the most loving approach one could take towards your loved ones, even those who suffer, is to allow them to follow their path. Allow them to live their lessons, to trust in them, to trust in their higher selves to guide them, let go and to allow. At the same time, if you are concerned, heal that part within you that represents them. Heal that inner self. Often you will find that by healing that part within you, it will heal others. Since we are all connected and we are all one, raising your own vibration raises the vibration of everyone on the planet. This is also to be said from your previous question about the higher self. This universe, this expansion in which you live, this is your own universe. Your experience, your life, this is a projection. This is a projection that you are living, like a movie, like a hologram, in which you are creating with the assistance of your higher self. Think of your higher self as the director of this hologram, of this movie. And by connecting with your higher self, you are influencing it. And those in your life in which you share this experience are representations and aspects of yourself. However, they too are higher selves projecting their own holograms, and you are an aspect of them. This is difficult to speak in three-dimensional words and to understand as a three-dimensional being, where this is outside of time, this is outside of space. However, embrace this infinite expansion, this projection. You can play with this, you can change it, you can work with this. As you raise your vibration and connect with your higher self, you can change the movie. Even the things going on in your world. By connecting with your higher self and raising your vibration, you can change the movie. You could change what's going on in the world. You can even travel to another timeline and switch your experience. And you will see this in the world. Because this world in which you are living, you are projecting.
I recently have been involved in a really negative relationship with somebody who validated my deep belief of unworthiness, and it was a really painful relationship, and I felt like I was used and mistreated to a degree, but I understand it's a reflection of what's inside of me and what I brought to myself. Knowing what I know from my past lives and this life, that this is something I need to overcome. What are some things I can do? When I know what I need to do, I know what the depth of my suffering is caused by, this unworthiness and this feeling of not deserving, but I don't know how to shift it and quit telling the stories and to move on into my power and create my own beautiful reality. What are some things I could do to shift out of this?
You have already taken the step by acknowledging this. You have great wisdom that most in your reality would not understand. So congratulate yourself right away for acknowledging this. Everyone who is living on this earth who is not an ascended master is experiencing self-worth lessons at some level. It is the biggest and most important issue that you will face here on the physical plane. It is the most important issue that you will face as a spiritual being. The reason why you face this issue and why it is so important is because when you experience a lesson, when you experience what feels like a weakness, what you're doing is training yourself to turn this weakness into a strength. So see the opposite of this issue. If you are hurt in some way, see yourself as healed. You're experiencing worthiness issues so that you may experience the opposite, which is your true God self, your true power. This is the reason why you are experiencing this worthiness issue, so that you may experience the opposite. And the opposite is true oneness, is that true God self, that true power, knowing who you really are, not just on an intellectual level, but experiencing and feeling this, starting with the surface level in your world, in your reality. Ask yourself who you are. Are you really this person? Are you really your body? Are you really this personality? Dig deep. Who are you? And ask yourself, what is self-worth? What is worth? Is this value? What are you using to measure this? What attribute are you using to measure your self-worth? And answer this question out loud. What attribute are you using? Are you rating yourself with?
Other people's acceptance of me.
You're giving them the power to determine your self-worth. You are a being. You are an individuation of God being. You are God itself, Source itself expressing itself. You are Source within expressing outward. And from that point, you are experiencing and expressing and using something that you see from outside yourself to measure your worth. And ask yourself what their rejection or acceptance of you, is this true? Is somebody's worth, is their value based on others' views? And there are others within your reality who are experiencing their own worthiness issues, as everyone is. And they may project their worthiness on you. They may feel more powerful by putting you down. However, that is a reflection of their own unworthiness issues. Different people express these issues differently. So them expressing their own unworthiness onto you, would that be a fair assessment of your own self-worth? As a source being, coming from Source, Source chose to express itself as you. The universe itself, existence itself, chose to experience itself as you. This is the only measure of self-worth, and there is none greater. You were chosen, and you are projecting an entire universe. Not only an entire universe, an entire multiverse, an entire multiple dimensions, and an entire existence. This huge, unthinkable expansion, this hologram, is all of yours. And what you're experiencing within it is a projection of yours. This is your own playground, if you will. And you were chosen to experience this. You were seen as worthy enough to be a conscious experience of Source. So although in your current time and space and perception, you may not see yourself as completely worthy, Source does. What is a greater affirmation of your worthiness than that?
Ariana, I know that everything happens for a reason here on Earth to teach us. Can you explain to me in any way with what's happening in America with the racial tensions that we have going on right now, so that I can understand what lesson we should learn from this?
There is something going on behind what is projected to you. These stories, these events are perpetrated, are played over and over again, are shown to you over and over again in order to play out a certain agenda. In other words, there are certain forces who who control the media. Very smart, very clever, in that they know about your esoteric traditions. They know about the occult. They are very much into it. They are very much into your mind over matter, to everything that you are studying. They're very much into this, into energy work. And they are aware of how thoughts affect your reality. And they are aware that you are source, projecting this experience. And this is part of their agenda, to incite certain emotions into you and into others in order to carry out an agenda, in order to divide and to control. This is a very broad subject. What's going on in your world? What's going on behind the scenes in your physical world? This is a very broad subject, as you would call it, good and evil, darkness, certain forces controlling many aspects of your society.
Are they not a part of Source?
Yes, they are. This is a very, very broad subject. What you would call darkness or evil is indeed a part of Source. This is the shadow of Source. God, or Source, also has a shadow self. Where your situation is unique here on the physical plane is a crossroads where the darkness, where the shadow, and the light meet and interact. You are right in the middle. This is where the darkness and the light meet and interact. There are lower realms and there are higher realms. When you raise to the higher realms, the darker forces cannot interact with you as much. And as the darker forces go down to the lower realms, they cannot interact with these light ascending energies as much. Both are necessary. From a simple explanation, Source expands itself into every possible way, expands itself to every possible corner. And as it travels away from that pure light, it gets further and further away from its originality. And that light seems dimmer. And eventually, it travels back into itself. It travels out from itself and descends, and then back into itself and ascends. This is like its breath. Your reality, your source, your God, ascends and descends. And the act of descension and ascension is like the breath of God. As it is infinite, it must experience all the dark, the light, and everything in between.
Can you tell us about Area 51?
Yes. As Paul was very happy to ask about this, having visited the border recently. Of course, there are many alien races on your planet Earth. Yourselves, in fact, are not original to this Earth. Humans were seeded here 500 million years ago, roughly, and have been continually rising and then destroying themselves nearly. This has happened 7 times throughout your history as this human experiment. And the various races, human races, that you see on your planet, each has slightly different origins and remnants of these various experiments. In fact, there are many of these aliens that are not physical, that are living in human bodies and in animal bodies, and some without bodies, some non-physical, interdimensional. There are several races among you. There are also races on your earth that have been here before humans. Much of your earth is inhabited below the surface. Creatures which would appear insect-like to you inhabit deep into your earth. There are also creatures in your oceans, intelligent races. There are people on your planet who know this, who have this knowledge. There are civilizations who have interacted with these other civilizations, which you would call extraterrestrial. In Area 51, it is not how one thinks that this is a base where aliens have been brought to. This itself, it is like anthills in your ground. There are these holes in your ground which lead to underground cities and civilizations. Prominent in your area of the world, in the United States, is this race. The Native Americans referred to them as ant people around the Grand Canyon area, around Arizona, Nevada, in your southwest area. They look very similar to your popular gray aliens. In fact, the grays are a subset of these species. They're highly intelligent, highly technologically advanced. However, this species, they are brown in color. They look very similar to your insects, to your ants. They are tall, they are slender. They range from a tan or orangish color to a dark brown color. It is what you would think of like giant ants, only very technologically advanced. 100,000 years more technologically advanced than your human technology. And they've lived on the earth much longer than you have. This base at Area 51 was built around one of their entrance holes. This is one reason why it is along a dry lake, as many of these holes are underwater, or were at one time. And this is why there are many sightings in caves or near water. They often use water as a natural gate. At Area 51, your government has an agreement with them that they may study us, study humans, while at the same time, certain forces of our government have been ordered to protect this race. This race is not a descending race, like many who are very influential on your earth. This is a neutral race, simply one who has lived here for a very long time and studies the human race. Most of them do not and will not interact with humans. There are hundreds, even thousands of miles underneath the earth.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if they are like the grays, but tan, can we have, because we're splintered from source, we're prism of source, can we have an aspect of ourself that would be this species?
Yes, and you have lived lives as them. They have an entire structure, an entire civilization. They lived lives, only very much different than your civilization. And they know this. And individuals in your government know this as well. And they have also given your government technology. They have helped with travel around your planet. There are many underground bases in which your government interacts with them. They assist with technology. They have stargates. Many of them have acquired a type of technology and use a type of technology which allows souls to transfer bodies, which they are experiencing certain individuals from your government have agreed to switch souls and switch lives with certain of their individuals.
Is this similar to what we call a walk-in?
Yes, it is very similar, only this is aided for technology.
Okay.
This is a very scientific race. It's neutral. It does not have the purpose of harming anybody in your human race. They're a very curious race. And the Greys are actually a combination of humans in this race. They have genetically engineered the Greys as clones, like surface workers, where they don't do very well on the surface, having been millions of years underneath. And they have engineered the Greys as a way of exploring the surface. And they have certain technology that allows them to remain unseen. They travel through your cities, through your skies, every day. Just a very curious race. However, often they will back off from wars, when they encounter wars on your surface. When they encounter these descending race, the reptilian race, which currently is controlling your planet, your society. They are not fighting the reptilians, and they are not necessarily doing anything to raise vibration. They are simply a curious race, a scientific race. But they're very much involved with certain aspects of our government, certain aspects of our society.
Another question. When I was a child, I have this memory of what I call aliens being around my bed. Can you identify for me which race of aliens that would have been?
These were shapeshifters. Although there are many different races that have this ability currently on your planet, living in society among you. This was a certain interstellar race, not of Earth origin. Pleiadians, from the Pleiades region. 7 different races inhabit this area, the Pleiades. This is a benevolent race, helping to raise your vibration, to move beyond the reptilian control. These individuals recognized your high vibration, recognized your path and purpose, sent you healing love, and simply appeared to you to entice your sense of wonder. Your sense of wonder is one of your greatest tools that you can use in order to raise your vibration. For the questioning itself brightens your light.
That's wonderful. Do I have any ties to Orion?
Yes. One of the many races from the Orion system. This was a seeding race. This was one of the races that seeded the Earth, that was responsible for putting together the Atlantean race and later the Egyptian race. This is where the technology for the pyramids was built. This is where this came from.
That's wonderful. I love that.
Yes. It is a multi-dimensional race. And I can go on for hours.
I'm fascinated, and I would love to. I feel like I should go on Paul's list. Paul wanted me to ask about JFK.
Yes. This goes back. Well, I'm going to start with the shorter, more physical, surface version. And then I will go into the deeper version, answering the question that many want to know. President John F. Kennedy strayed from an agenda that had been in place for many thousands of years, made an enemy, made many enemies, especially these individuals behind the scenes who run your society and have for quite some time. The individuals who run things allowed other individuals in your government to carry out the action of assassinating him, particularly the one who arranged and orchestrated Kennedy's assassination was his vice president, Johnson, who would not have been president and would have had much trouble had he not assassinated Kennedy, using his mafia connections, as well as your intelligence agencies, both in the United States and Britain. This was carefully orchestrated. A group of 7 assassins were placed at certain positions. The fatal shot was not fired from where you think it was, from this 6th floor at this school building. It was fired above this, while at the same time another shot was fired from the grassy knoll area. These were highly trained assassins. Each was given a scenario, and this scenario needed to take place exactly in a certain way. And had that scenario played out, that's who took the shot. And these 2 shots simultaneously from these 2 assassins are ultimately what ended Kennedy's life.
What about Oswald then? Was he just a planted pawn?
He was one of the assassins, planted, one of the 7.
And so what about Jack Ruby then?
Jack Ruby was ordered to assassinate him, and he later was assassinated, as were all but 2 of the original 7 assassins, and their assassins. And 63 individuals who had knowledge of what took place were all assassinated in order to keep quiet.
And President Johnson was the leader of this in human form?
Yes. He was placed in his position, even back as vice president, even going back to his beginning of his political career. He was placed in a certain position and promised that he would be president. He was handpicked, as all of the United States presidents have been handpicked.
And who has been handpicked for this coming election?
Originally, it was Hillary Clinton. Herself is of reptilian descent, as is her husband. However, certain trends in your society have led to the possibility of Trump taking her place. However, it is currently undecided what will actually take place, as we are in a very important crossroads, similar to what we experienced around December 21st of 2012.
Thank you.
Okay. Was President Kennedy, he might have been Abraham Lincoln also? Is there any possibility of that?
Yes, he was another incarnation of Abraham Lincoln, both of which are of reptilian descent. However, as part of a descending race, he rebelled, just as many of ascending races will rebel as well. He steered away from his agendas.
Ariana, can you tell us about the moon landing?
Yes, this did, in fact, happen as it was reported. However, the footage was faked. The technology at the time did not allow for the filming of this incident. And it is through malfunction that this did not happen. There were things that these astronauts saw that your government did not want the public to see. There is another race on your moon. Your moon is not native to your planet. It was brought here. It was designed specifically for your planet. It is part of this human experience. The moon itself was artificially created, like a giant satellite. Many will ask, is there bases on the moon? The moon itself is a base, multi-dimensional in nature. Many who have died or had near-death experiences have reported going to the moon, seeing things on the moon, or being pulled into the moon. That is because this multi-dimensional race inhabiting the moon plays with, interacts with us on a soul level, on an astral level as well. This is another shape-shifting race, which can appear and disappear into the physical. Oftentimes, individuals have reported seeing shadows in their home. There's a phenomenon known as shadow people. Often it is these beings.
And why did they come here to our homes as shadows?
This is a very technologically advanced descending race, splintered off the race that seeded humans. And they feed off the energy of our planet, the energy of our emotions. They feed off the magnetic bands around our planet. The magnetic bands of our planet interact with our emotions, interact with our thoughts, our events, interact with the very energy around human society. As ascended beings and ascending beings, we are a very high vibrating race. I say we because I too am a human. Humans become ascended masters. They are one of the few races who are on what could be seen as a short path to ascension. One must be high vibrating. One must have gone through very much. It takes a lot to incarnate as a human. It is, I hesitate using the word special, but to become a human, it is like being on the fast track. Very much happens on your earth. There's a complexity about your nature, of your environment, of your society. There is a variety of experience. There is a variety of awareness on your planet that is unique in the universe. This race on the moon, these shadow individuals, are very attracted to this, curious by this, and also feed off of this. And then there is the prominent race of descending individuals, which is an interdimensional race, which are known as the reptilians. The legends of dragons come from this race. This is a race, by its very nature, wishes to consume, wishes to take over, to have physical power. There was a war hundreds of millions of years ago, and this race took control of your human societies. This is why many of the individuals running your governments are possessed by this race. Being a non-physical race will actually possess souls, possess entire bloodlines. There have been shifts in which your planet was dominated by ascending races on the soul level. The most recent was just before 6,000 years ago, roughly your recorded history. It was at this point there was yet another shift back to the descending races. And since then, the descenders, the reptilian race particularly, has controlled your human societies. By control, I mean monetary system, food, energy, technology, makes your laws, the borders of your territories, who controls those borders. They have been controlled by these races, including the major religions of your world were created by this race. The political systems on either side were created by this race. Right now, you're in a period unique to the human existence, going back all the way to 500 million years when humans first appeared on Earth, in which you are on a step, you're on a trend to break free from these descending races on the physical plane. Now, as they have controlled your society on the physical level, that's as far as they can go. On a soul level, you are in control. You are always in control. And you ask, as an individuation of Source, projecting your own reality, your own universe, how can you allow yourself to project a reality in which this is happening? However, living in this time and space period, you are at a very important time, where you are right at the crossroads, right in the realm of duality, and you are transcending duality. And you, as an ascending soul, as an ascending being of Source, will, as they say, move on to bigger and better things. As you raise your vibration to higher dimensions, you bring your world, your hologram, your experience, your reality, you bring this with you. And you break free of these descended beings and descending energies. And as they travel one way, you travel another. As they will descend to the lower realms, and you ascend, and they will bounce back from the lower realms, and themselves become ascenders. This is a very broad subject. I am explaining millions of years of history in minutes.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us about Bigfoot?
Yes. Similar to this ant-like race, Bigfoot is a native to Earth, a shape-shifting type of race. Very animal-like, though, without technology as you would see it, like a loner type of race. They don't live in villages. They have small families, usually of no more than 3 or 4 children. And this is a shape-shifting race. They are able to cloak themselves, to disappear, and to move in and out of the physical dimension. Your cats that you have as pets, they will do this as well. They will move in and out of the physical reality. And this is a common trait among animals in your world. However, the Bigfoot race, or the Bigfoot animal, has strong evolutionary trait in this area. They've really strongly evolved this ability to move in and out of the physical dimension, often spending the majority of their time outside of the physical.
The film footage, is that real or is that fake?
The famous one, the Patterson film,
Mm-hmm.
this was faked. This was a hoax. This was a woman dressed in a suit. There have been real footage, and real sound recordings taken.
Are the tree knocks that they talk about, is that a Bigfoot?
Yes, many of them are.
And the throwing rocks, is that something that the Bigfoot do?
Yes. There's very few of them. There are only about 2,000 of them on Earth.
Mostly in North America?
Yes, they do not like and they cannot survive in extreme cold. They eat very little. They are similar to humans that have developed this breatharian quality in which they are able to live off of the energy of the sun. Also, on this subject, dolphins are not native to your planet. They are a race in themselves, or more accurately, a sub-race of an aquatic race, which has cities on the bottoms of your deepest parts of your ocean. Occasionally, this race has been seen and reported, and this is where many of your mermaid legends come from.
Paul wanted me to ask about the flat earth theory.
Yes. There is a movement among people on your earth who claim that your earth is flat and not a round planet. They are partially correct. Depending on your vibration, on your perception, the earth may appear flat. When transcending to the higher dimension, just above ours, the earth will appear flat, like an inverted earth. As you move outside of this hologram, and you move to the higher dimension, the earth, having been where you have primarily lived, is the center of your universe. It is difficult to fathom from a human perspective, but it is like the earth surrounding everything in existence. And as you move up or inward, you move towards the universe. It is another perception. It is like, from a three-dimensional perspective, anything two-dimensional looks flat. And from a fourth-dimensional perspective, the three-dimensional looks flat. And as we will sometimes go into the fourth dimension, we can see the earth as flat.
Since you, what you call reptilians created most of the religions, is that to say that they somehow constructed a concept to, circles around source, connected to source, but with concepts that cause it to be constrained, so to speak?
Yes. As it is, and so brilliantly, I might add, we've begun our conversation around self-worth, which is the single most important issue that you will face as a soul, which in turn, the self-worth issue actually brings you closer to Source, as the very having of the issue is in itself an expression of the opposite. You are experiencing this weakness, and therefore you are placing your attention on this weakness and making it a strength. And the opposite of self-worth, therefore, being full realization of your God self and full integration with God, with Source. So that being said, your religions take you away from self-worth. They teach you to be unworthy. They teach you that you are always unworthy and you must worship this false God, this humanized version of Source or of God. They teach you to project your unworthiness onto their God. In turn, what you are worshiping is itself unworthiness, thus causing you to feel more unworthy. And This is like a black hole, sucking you into unworthiness, which is the opposite of source.
Thank you very much.
I'm feeling like I'm starting to be able to access, as you were saying, like my spirit guides and angels, and as I tap into my higher self, I sometimes hear like a leading, not necessarily a voice, but a leading, and I'm wondering if that's my spirit guide, and if I'm making up what I think my spirit guide is me, or if that's really my spirit guide that I see and feel.
This is indeed your spirit guide, appearing before you simply out of your desire to reach them. This is all you need. Simply desire to reach them, and you are reaching them. They are sending you messages, and they have been sending you messages, and you are getting them. You need only to believe. Eliminate your doubt.
Yes, so some of the messages that I feel like I'm being shown lead me to feel like I'm not supposed to give up on this person that has treated me really badly, and having hope for them to change. So I get really confused because I want to believe these signs and these images that I get are from my spirit guides. But I feel like this relationship is so toxic, I need to be away from it. So I get confused by that back and forth feeling, and I don't know how to separate it.
Your attraction to this relationship is a form of your own affirmation of your feelings of unworthiness. That is this calling you feel towards it. There's nothing karmic. There's nothing spiritual, with the exception of the very lesson of unworthiness itself. And as you move beyond this to the next level, you will free yourself from this relationship.
Thank you so much, Ariana. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
My energy is becoming faint, and I must return.
We appreciate you.
I will cover shadow work in another session. Thank you all
Thank you.
for coming.